And I think it's a really good reminder that we, I think, just naturally fall into this transactional mood where we want to get something off our plate so it's done and we can think about other things, not remembering that some of those early interactions, the first interaction, are so important in setting the tone.
Right, setting the tone.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Free Range Vision. I'm Matt Jensen alongside Dr. Vance Thompson. And for nearly 2 decades, we've been pioneering in practice, business, and team leadership. We'll cover everything from the pivotal lessons we've learned to the formidable challenges we've overcome and sometimes lost to, providing you with the essential tools to steer your journey and empower your team as you venture together. So whether you're at the helm of a practice or simply striving to cultivate a stronger culture, well, you found your flock. Let's venture off the beaten path together. Welcome to Free Range Vision. Well, thanks everybody, and we're back with Free Range Vision. I'm here with my friend, Dr. Vance Thompson. Hey Vance, how are you?
I'm doing good, Matt. Thank you.
So last time when we kicked off our session, we were talking about morning routines and getting ready for entering the work environment. And today we're going to really kick off what those first interactions should be like for our team. And as we go into that, I want to reference a story that you and I both heard and I read about with Apple. And Apple in San Francisco, when they were opening all of their Apple stores, they had team training for people who were being hired there in their nerd lounge and things like that. And they would all descend on a ballroom at a hotel. And the article talked about how there was a lot of bravado. There was a lot of like slow clapping and cheers and things like that they did to get everybody kind of ready. And it reminded me of what we referenced in our last meeting, the huddle. But the other thing that they did is because these were all new employees, at precisely the start of the meeting, let's say the meeting was going to start at 8 a.m., they locked the doors. And anybody who came after 8 didn't come back. And so it was just such a cue of, hey, we're going to have fun together. We're going to do all these things together, but we're also going to be serious about the way that we hold each other accountable. Pretty severe, a dichotomy there between like being fun loving and an organization that's young and hip to also being one that drives a hard line, right? What are your impressions of starting off a team experience like that?
Well, you know as well as anybody that my hero is Winnie the Pooh. And Winnie the Pooh can't lock the door. I like so much of that, the getting together and kind of getting the engine, started, clapping right away. Maybe is a little more dramatic. I might want to go up to a little bit, but there's a lot of good in there that probably worked for that team. For us, we're starting out maybe a little bit, less exciting, but wanting to really have the love and care and connection, be what's happening. And so, again, how much I love the basics and people understanding the power that they have within themselves to touch someone else without even words. And that is, looking them in the eye and smiling and actually, feeling like smiling. And so when you enjoy the people you work with, that's just such a wonderful way to start and, say things like, good morning, before diving into, the checklist or something. So I love starting with the basics. And I think, in general, humans who care about each other are very willing to be very basic before they get to the day or something they're going to learn together.
Well, and you do a good job of this, even with your texts. Sometimes I'll text you early in the morning and I'll just dive right in and I'll just say, I'll just kind of dive in with either the request or Or what do you think about this? And you'll say, good morning. And then just send that back to me, which is your very Winnie the Pooh, not passive aggressive, just passive way of saying like, hey, just good to talk to you today, and remind me to, start the day off well. And I think it's a really good reminder that I think just naturally fall into this transactional mood where we want to get something off our plate so it's done and we can think about other things, not remembering that some of those early interactions, the first interaction, are so important in setting the tone.
Right. Setting the tone.
And then similarly, you do something at the end of the day. And I'm going to see if you remember what you say to the team on your way out the door.
I, first of all, thank them for a good day and say, see you later. And, I'm trying to think of what I do that, because there's not really a checklist. It's more of an organic, true, appreciation for, what we do. And I do say I appreciate you a lot and truly feel that way.
But in visiting your clinic, what I often hear you say is you're walking by your galley is great job today, team.
Yeah, I do love saying the word team too a lot, and I do love the good morning team, and I do love the great job team. Yep.
Vance, why is the first greeting with your team so critical for setting the tone for that day?
Well, you've heard me say before that what works in a family that feels cared for works in a work family, and to tell you the truth, I think it works anywhere. I mean, going to a convenience store, going out for dinner, anytime you get together with another human, I just think it's, such a missed opportunity if you keep it transactional. And so I love with that eye contact and smile and, the proper greeting, that respect for your fellow person, to see how different they respond compared to the person I just saw them interact with before me. And I wouldn't call it a game, because I promise it's not a game in my life, but I do like to observe what comes out of someone based on how I treat them. And that's how I like to start the day.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite writers, Paul Tripp, says that if we're a cup that has something in it and you shake the cup, what comes out of it is what's ever in the cup. What comes out of it is water or liquid or whatever. But if it's filled with poison, what comes out of it is poison.
Right.
So let's fill up everybody's cup with something good.
Yeah.
Because when we're jostled, something will come out. And, we can fill up others with it. One of my favorite companies, and when I travel, I try to stay there, even though in the continental U.S. it's become a pretty hip hipster place, is the W Hotels with their greet in the morning. Now, this is to their guests, and it's actually not just the morning; it's throughout the day. But they pick up the phone at the front desk when you dial 0 in your room. They pick up the phone and say, "Whatever, whenever." And I just love it, right? Because it's a cue to the customer that you can ask for the world. We're at your service, but it's a little less formal and maybe even witty. And then, but it's also a cue to the employee to get them in the mindset that I'm here to serve you. And I think that's such a nice way to start a conversation with a little quip like that.
I also think that for a company that says they want to have a caring, environment, and they want to care for each other, it's such an easy thing to say, and it can be a hard thing to convey.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of truly caring, and so when you truly care, what you just said isn't, so hokey that you're not going to do it,
right?
Or you're not going to do that smile and eye contact. When you truly care, you want to do that. You want to make the other person feel good, or you want to use a little humor. Just like my latest at work that I've just been hammering is, I had the honor of meeting the guy who invented the zero yesterday, and I told him, "Thanks for nothing." And but when I'm stopping with my team and doing that, the same thing a dad will do with their kids. Those things, they're not just humor. They're showing that I'm willing to take time to care. I'm willing to throw myself under the bus. I think so much of you. And so this idea of caring, if you truly feel it, you'll do that stuff.
So powerful. I think that's right. And those first interactions, I think, set the tone for those things to actually be done. Now, you referenced and told the story about the Holy Huddle that you have at Vance Thompson Vision that we have had for years. And you've led and observed a bunch of them. Why do you do that? I mean, it's a lot of fuss, right?
Yes. And well, for one, I enjoy it. I enjoy the team. And, they feed me. And I want to try to do my best to feed them. And if I actually prepare and I do it in a way where they feel fed and they text me afterwards what that meant to them, I mean, it just is like, I mean, there's no amount of money that, you're going to get to give you that feeling that a person can give you in appreciating what you did to, prepare. Or when you talk about fuss, I'm always thinking about people coming over for dinner. Like tonight, my brother and his wife are coming over, and we've been planning this, for a week. And I'm, going to be fussing for them, and they're not going to see the bottom of their water glass, and we're going to have good conversation and maybe some challenging conversations, but we care. And I think teams that care for each other will do that. They'll think about the coffee that they're serving and how's it tasting. They'll have some treats, and they'll make sure it's clean, and they'll make sure that they're listening to some of the things that they think could be better. And you're growing together. You're dealing with this imperfect journey together, but you're doing it in a caring way.
Vance, we have dinners inspired by you at our home as fundraisers, farm to table dinners, and we use your wine when we host parties of anywhere from 12 to, I mean, we had a wedding out there with 300, and we really follow that same mantra. You said you never see the bottom of your water glass, right? That before your drink is finished, whether you asked for it or not, there's a fresh one. The anticipating of people what they might want is so powerful. And I think that that's something that is a really nice take home from the things that you discuss at the huddle. Tell me about the anatomy of the huddle. What is if somebody's going to start one to start off their business day with their team, their clinic day, their surgery center day, what needs to go into it? How long should it last?
Well, I would say that you probably don't want it to last, more than, 10 to 15 minutes as far as if you're going to, have a guest speaker. If it gets to be 15 to 20, that's okay too. But, it's about a half hour to start the day, and you're including in that the greeting and the mingling and not feeling like you got to hurry that too much. I think that this idea of not just starting out business-like, you don't do that. You do some of the things we've been talking about as far as making people feel acknowledged, and even if I see someone that's sitting off alone and not very they haven't had that good morning from anybody, that's the person I'm going to go say good morning to. I want that whole room to be filled with a caring atmosphere. So you got to pay attention. But you know what? You want to pay attention because again, you're doing something you enjoy, and it's also feeding you. So connecting first and making sure the room is as happy as possible, and then diving into whatever you're going to learn together, and then ending in a let's have a good day together, team type thing.
Yeah.
So I think the basics and plus the core.
We had a huddle that was 30 minutes kind of scheduled on Mondays, and then every other day of the week was 10. Right. And so if you're going to start with one per week, maybe it's a little bit longer. But if you're going to start with every day, maybe you get your business and implementation stuff done in one of the sessions. It's a little bit longer. And then maybe you have other little kind of just encouragers the other days. But I think you're right. You want to allow it to be what it's intended to be, which is inspirational. Remind people that they're there to do work that is excellent. I mean, clinical excellence, surgical excellence is paramount. But we're also wanting to remind us that each interaction, not just with the patients, but also with each other, is unique, and we're never going to get it back. So what are we going to do to really pour ourselves into it? We were talking about the W hotels and how they answer their phones when you're calling down from your room. A lot of times when I call practices, no matter what their name is, it's like I'm calling Dr. Like, Lyke, because they pick up the phone, and no matter what their name is, what I hear is, like, I care. And you don't want to be that. Don't do that. When you can tell when somebody's picking up the phone, or when you're interacting with somebody who prefers that they weren't interacting with you. Right. And so I think one of the ways you combat that, and there are many, is to start out the day right with your team.
Well, I got to tell you, Matt, I think I've interviewed 5 different people for different positions this week, despite doing a ton of surgery and having a blast with my team serving patients. But those 5 people, all 5 of them, when I asked them what interested them about the job, the first thing they said was just hearing about the culture here from the community and, people that I know that have worked here, and this yearning for people to feel cared for. And so in this, kind of post-COVID environment where I think the world is hurting more than, they did during COVID. And I think it's about feeling cared for. And so just great employee after great employee, and not having a hard time having people, apply that are real quality, just based on the fact that they want to feel cared for.
Right. Because what's the mantra that you say?
The team that feels loved and cared for will create an environment where the patient feels loved and cared for.
So powerful. So powerful. And so we don't wait to do that. We don't wait until the customer's in front of us or the patient's in front of us when we're doing our very first diagnostic to kind of start wearing the caring, costume for everybody else. We start the minute we get out of our car and are walking to the front door of our clinic or our business, walking neck and neck with the person who's going to be answering the phones or working the front desk or your tech in clinic, and just greeting them. Right. Yeah. Behind the scenes, off stage. It starts there.
Well, we can't turn it off. I don't know. Just this morning, I was having coffee with a buddy who knows you well, Tom Henderson.
Oh, fun.
And I, for some reason, we were just diving into caring and how much joy it brings us to care for our fellow person. And I was thinking, and he had a neat bracelet on with an inspirational phrase, and I thought, I want to do a bracelet with an inspirational phrase. And I thought, God, I love caring, and I love, caring for people's lives. So I thought, I, meaning me, I care, EYE care. I care. So I even Googled it on the way home. And I didn't see it. And if someone out there has it, more power to you. I'll ask for permission. But I want to practice I care.
I love that. It's much better than like I care.
Yes.
Right. So powerful. Vance, and I love that you were
like balancing each other out. You're the downer and I'm the upper. No, I'm joking.
That's right. Good cop, bad cop. Listeners can choose. Make a comment if you think Vance is the bad cop. We just found a way to get no comments on our podcast. Well, Vance, I think it's really great to talk about how you interact with the team first thing in the day. It's also when I'm talking to you about it, it's a reminder to me, working with the team where a lot of people are remote and working with the team where maybe I'm coming in at a different time because of a number of different things. I have to find maybe some new and clever ways to make the first greet of the day be more impactful and more positive. So I'm going to take a lot from this episode for myself in what I do every day. And then last, don't forget, everybody, you also need to remember how we greet each other at home. First minute we wake up. First minute we walk through the door. Last minute before lights go out. These are the moments that matter. So thanks for joining us on Free Range Vision.